what I would like to do, first of all, is let's just run through Blackboard. I did it really quickly at the end of class on Monday, but I was kind of enjoying testing you guys about where rangeland regions were. And so we didn't get to spend a ton of time there. So I just want to go back through that, reiterate and confirm what we have due on Friday. And then we're going to jump into a pretty cool activity that's one of my favorite of the whole entire semester. So we will get there in just a second. So, all right. Well, we are in week 5. So crazy. So crazy. And this week we're starting to dive into and get more specific into the ecology component of the class. And so this is rangeland ecology. Ecology really refers to how the system works together. So it identifies what's the different components of the system, and then it really refers to how different things interact with each other. And so I'm a system thinker. I have colleagues that are not system thinkers. They actually focus very narrowly on things like, soil bacteria or, fermentation and decreasing methane and those type of things. And I find it more helpful and more interesting, in all honesty, to look at the whole picture and how things interact with each other. And so that is where we're headed this week with lectures. And I know a few people have already been through the quizzes and stuff, so this is probably coming a little late for you, but we're tackling 2 different sides of ecology this week. We're looking at what ecological components are, and then we're looking at ecosystem functions. So the things that an ecosystem does on a daily, monthly, yearly, decadely, centuryly, if that's a word, basis. And so those functions are really going to help set the course for where we're going to start introducing the grazing animal into those functions and looking at how everything else around that grazing animal is affected if we make management decisions like grazing longer here or a shorter time here, or using a different animal here versus, a small ruminant versus a large ruminant, etc. All right, and so there's a quiz to get through on Friday, or by the end of day Friday. And then there's also, if you guys haven't seen this article that was written by Dr. Dave Daly, who, if you guys haven't been around Dave, he has been a professor at Chico State for 30 years almost. He is in the retirement, beginning the retirement process. So he is officially transitioning out of being associated with the university. He's got a couple of years left to go, but here's what you need to know about retirement in academia is people can't retire all at once, cold turkey for the most part. We will die. Okay, we will die. It's been our life for 30 plus years sometimes, and it's hard to let that go. So it's a transition process. And he's also a rancher in South Butte County, and his family has been here since the 1850s and had taken cattle up to the Plumas National Forest since that time. And so he had grazing permits, both private and federal, before there even was agencies and companies in place. And so it's a pretty amazing legacy that unfortunately was lost because of the Bear Fire, which was burning this time last year. So that's just an interesting article for you guys to kind of take in as well. All right, so that's what week 5 looks like, is ecological components and function lecture plus a quiz. And that is it for this week. So we don't have anything coming out of lab. All right. Let me stop sharing and we're going to switch gears. So what the next part of in our big activity for today is having you guys think back and review what you've been through over the past couple of weeks. So we've talked about physical characteristics of rangeland. We discussed history quite a bit already, so we're going to keep that in the forefront of our mind, but because it's really going to change how we manage different places and stuff, so we never want to forget our history. But I want to move our education a little bit forward into bringing together physical characteristics of rangeland, soils, as well as rangeland regions that we talked through last week. And so I'm going to push you guys to breakout rooms. But before I do, I just want to give you an overview of what we have going. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we'll just look at an example here. So when you guys get into your rooms, I'm going to come around and I'm going to give you guys a Google Slides link to a series of slides for your group. And this is where you guys are going to do a couple of different things. I promise they're related. They're not going to seem related at first. But the first thing that you guys are going to do is go through and list out in the top row the different individuals in your group, and then your 5 strengths. So it doesn't have to be in any particular order, just your top 5. So I used used this example here. It's in italics because it's just an example. So those are my 5 top strengths. All right. So the purpose of listing out our strengths that we did with the Strength Finders activity and survey last week is to kind of put you guys in a zone of awareness. And so as you walk into this exercise, I want you to just be aware of what not only your strengths are, but other strengths in your group. Okay. And so at the end of this, you guys are going to come back together as individual groups, and you are going to talk through 1 or 2 characteristics that were related to somebody in your group's personality. Okay, so for example, if I was in a group, I tend to be the driver and push things forward, and try to always, be conscious of people's input and try to be kind. I try really, really hard to be kind to people, but all while moving forward towards a goal. Okay. So I like to check boxes on to-do lists. I don't know if you guys are like that or not, but that really feeds my focus strength. Okay. So at the end of this, if somebody was in my group and noticed that I was always kind of moving things forward to achieve the goal, you may just make that comment of like, Casey, I saw you use your strength of focus this way during our exercise. All right, so just keep that in mind. And so we're going to preface and start this lab with strength finders, and we're going to end the lab with strength finders too. And this is all to make you aware not only of your strengths and how you function best, but also different members that you're going to have to work with through the semester. So as we move into the activity, each group is going to get a unique individual location in the continental US. All right, and so the first slide is just going to show you where it's at from a geographic standpoint. The second slide is going to show you what the rangeland actually looks like. Okay, so at that location. And then you guys as a group are going to go back and you can pull your notes up, you can pull your note guides up, you can split it up however you want to. And so I encourage you to have that conversation after you get through the strength finder stuff. And you guys are going to start to fill this stuff in. And if you were in 294, this is a similar assignment to what we did then, and it's important because I need you guys to start looking at rangeland and looking deeper at what is actually in place there and where it's at from a location standpoint, because all this has to do with not only the productivity of the rangeland, but the health as well. So you guys are going to go through and identify the climate type, the rangeland region. So rangeland region refers to the map that you guys memorized from last week, okay? So those rangeland regions like annual grasses, sagebrush steppe, desert, grasslands, and shrublands, that's what I mean by rangeland region. You're then gonna go through and kind of work through and review what precipitation looks like in inches per year, when precipitation happens, how varied it is, and then any precipitation challenges that you may have. So this could be as simple as like, we don't get enough precipitation, or it could be as complex as, you know, this climate is, or this location is in between, you know, two rain shadows. And so there are two mountain ranges. So it has two rain shadow effects, which really decrease precipitation. So bringing together or just reviewing and applying some of those concepts that we talked about in the physical characteristics of rangeland lab or lecture. You're going to talk through temperature and variation there, as well as humidity. And then based on the picture of rangeland, you are then going to talk through what topography looks like and vegetation. So in this picture, you know, is there a slope? What aspect does this particular view have? What is the approximate altitude? And you can go to other websites, you can use all of your resources that you have available, okay, to answer these questions. And then we're going to take a little bit of more of a deep dive into soil characteristics. And these can just be general, okay? So you may need to go back and review your notes from the soils to make sure you have a good understanding of what each one of these characteristics are. And then you are going to go through and just talk through what you think each one of these characteristics are for your area, okay? And you can try to do a little bit of research on them if you want. There's definitely some figures from last week's soils lecture that may help you with that as well. And then the last piece of information here is based on what is in your picture of the landscape, what do you see? So let's begin building a list of what this piece of rangeland actually has. What is its inventory? And this can just be a list. I don't care how you do it. It can be in columns. It can be in bullet points. You can put a table in. You could put a chart in. Whatever you would like to do. Just get creative with it. Okay, and so the goal here is you guys are going to get probably, I'm going to start you at 30 minutes and then we'll see where everybody's at that point in time. We can definitely go back in and give you some additional time. But then each group is going to, we're going to come back together in a big group at the end of our breakout session, and each group is going to present their location. And everybody in the group needs to be involved, meaning everybody needs to talk, okay? So I will give each individual, or I will give everybody access to share screens. So you guys can share your screen with your Google slide set up, and you can move through it at your pace. But it's really important that everybody is involved, and everybody is involved in the presentation. So everybody talks, okay? And so I just want to make sure that we are getting everybody as engaged as possible. All right, so that is what we're going to work on today. I anticipate this taking a little bit more time, so I'm going to set the timer for 40 minutes. And I'll bounce around. And if it's too much time, we can come back together earlier. If it's not enough time, we'll deal with it at that point. So my first question for you guys before I shove you to breakout rooms is, does anybody have any questions about our goals for this activity?
Where can I find the questions? I mean, what we're gonna fill out?
So the slide sets,
Yeah.
as soon as I get you guys into your breakout rooms, I'm gonna jump in and give you guys each your own individual link. All right, cool.
For the soil, is it just what we think it should be? It's not, we don't need accurate. I mean, we could if we wanted to, but
Yeah, there's some resources out there. If you wanted to get accurate,
Yeah.
you could. And I would encourage you to do that, especially if you have time. But like texture is a good one. So like, what is the texture of the soil in the Saharan desert? Huge, right? Because it's sand. So it's a big particle size. Okay. So just those type of things. Okay, cool. Excellent. Any other questions before we move to breakout rooms? If you guys do need help or you have questions, you can just request help. I'm going to stay on Zoom the whole entire time. I'm going to bounce around rooms as much as I can. And yeah, I'm excited. All right, so let me go ahead and organize these. All right, we're gonna go, let's go 40 minutes for breakout rooms. Get Cheyenne back in here. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm going to open the rooms, guys, and then I will be around to give you your links, okay? Tessa, you're the only one I can see, so you got to give me a thumbs up if you're on track. Okay, awesome. Beautiful, beautiful, guys. Thank you. All right, there you go. Breakout rooms are open.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Okay, guys, I'm dumping the link into the chat. Okay, that is your location.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just FYI.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
How's it going,
Hello.
Alex?
Good.
Good. All right, guys, there is your location. You are group number 2. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good, Nicole. All right. Here is your guys's Google slide set. You guys are officially group number 3, location number 3, breakout room number 3, everything number 3. Everybody good?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, guys. How's it going?
good.
Oh, this is a powerhouse group.
Yeah, that's
I
what
think-
I said when I got
I
in here.
think
I was like,
everybody
"Ooh."
had 294. All right, guys, you are group number 4, location number 4, breakout room number 4, everything number 4 today, okay? And there is your link in the chat.
Thank you.
But Cheyenne, are you in with like an iPad or something too?
Yeah, so I don't have speakers that work on my computer.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I'm on my phone and my computer.
Okay, I'll just remember to like glue you together in breakout rooms. So
Okay, yeah, this is the only class where we actually do breakout rooms and I have to do that.
what? Nobody else does breakout rooms?
Yeah. My other Zoom classes are awful.
So this is less awful. That makes me feel good.
Oh, I love this one.
Okay, good. I try to get you guys to learn.
Yeah, I like this.
Okay, awesome. All right, we'll see you after a bit.
Hey, could you send me back to my breakout room, please? It just
Yeah.
disconnected.
Do you remember what group you were?
I was in group 3.
3. Awesome. Okay, I'm
Sorry about that.
sending you there right now.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. To share slides, and if you need something else, let me know. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm excited for you to teach us all about your rangeland region. So it's in your hands. There we go.
So much different than just regular. Okay. So we can just introduce all of ourselves and then go over our strengths. So my name is Tessa. I am a focus, achiever, significance, futuristic, and a relator.
I'm Stephanie. I'm a communicator, one who takes responsibility, a developer. One of my strengths is also empathy and woo.
Hi.
Hi. Oh,
Oh.
sorry, you go first. Luke.
Oh, thank you. Hi, I'm Luke. My strengths were ideation, strategic, intellection, empathy, and futuristic.
And I'm Cheyenne, and my strengths are to be inclusive, an achiever, to woo people, communication, and always be positive.
So our site was in Northern California. It was actually kind of centralized around Browns Valley, like Sutter area. And we'll talk about where that region and what comprises that region. So this is our picture. We'll talk about what we see and how it is affected across the rangeland.
So for our climate, the climate type is a temperate, kind of Mediterranean or Pacific climate. It gets a lot of annual grass. It's an annual grasslands. It gets between 26 to 35 inches of rain a year. When it usually rains is in the winter months and early spring. The precipitation is highly variable, especially on the leeward side. The challenges with it is an orographic effect from the coastal range. We have a very high temperature variation because like our winters get pretty cold and then the summers are very, very hot. Our humidity is very low in the summer and it's pretty moderate in the winter and spring.
All right, so about the topography and vegetation in Browns Valley location, we approximated the slope to be around 3%. As you can see in the photograph, there wasn't much slope. The altitude there is about 260 feet. As far as aspect, there wasn't any visible aspect from the photograph. And the vegetation there, we determined was cool season annual grasses and oak woodland in the background, some annual forbs, and the web soil survey told us that there is 2,000 pounds of vegetation produced there per year.
So some soil characteristics that we also found on web soil survey was that it was a gravelly loam. Structure for that area was blocky. Average depth to bedrock is about 40 inches, and then the general pH is around 6. It said it had very low organic matter content at 2%. And then mineral status was fertile.
And then for inventory, what we saw was an open grassland. There were very few trees in foreground. I think I can remember one that was off to the left side, and there was wide spacing between it and the trees in the background. And in the background, the trees were a lot more dense together and looked kind of like an oak woodland. And then there were different varieties and plants. There were some purple flowers, some fiddleneck, some annual grasses, and then, yeah.
Awesome. Do you guys mind?
Does anybody have any? Sorry.
Yeah, can you just roll back to your picture and kind of walk us through what you see? I know that it's not going to be right in front of you, but.
For the most part, it's kind of like an open meadow, and then we have our tree line out in the distance. But as Luke said, we saw a lot of these purple wildflowers. And then if you kind of look closely, you can kind of see the fiddleneck within the grasses. And it's really slow rolling, very small slopes, if any. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Yeah, what is in between the flowering plants? What's in between the forbs?
Wouldn't that be our cool season annual grasses?
Yep. Why are they annuals and not perennials, do you think?
Because they die off every year. Like they grow, they germinate, grow, and then die within 1 year because of the Mediterranean climate. Like they can't last for the winter.
Yep. Good thoughts. So if you had never been to this location before, didn't know anything about California Mediterranean climate, what's another way that you could tell that these were annual grasses and not perennials? Any ideas?
The abundance of them.
Abundance is it's a really good point. Anything else?
If you came at like 2 different times of the year, so if you came in like early and late spring versus if you came back in fall, it would not look like this photo.
It would not look like this photo.
Yeah. So
That
there's
is-
one way.
That is for sure. So you guys are going to see this next week when we start into the plant section, but our perennial grasses for the most part are actually going to grow in a bunch. So they're bunch grasses. So that's an easy, quick way to tell that we're dealing with annual grasses and not necessarily perennials here, is because this looks like if you mowed it, it would look like our lawn, right? The grasses are really close together. They aren't necessarily growing in bunches. So. All right, cool. You guys said something really quickly about the soil structure, and it was a blocky structure with low organic matter. Why do you think that are the characteristics that we're seeing in that area? What are your thoughts there?
My first thought was like elevation. I mean, it's not very high in elevation, but it is, a little higher than say like, I think Chico's at like what, 40, 60 feet, something like not very, very tall or high in elevation. So maybe like elevation has something to play into it.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're on the right track. think back to, kind of the physical characteristics lecture and how California mountain rangelands actually came to fruition. You can guess. You don't have to be right. We entertain wrong answers here too. You can also ask the rest of your classmates.
Classmates, does anyone have anything to add to that question?
What was the question again?
Good, Alex. Thank you. So why do we see a blocky structure in the soil with low organic matter for this location? What are your thoughts?
I would guess that there's like a lot of, God damn it, what's the word? Erosion going on because there's like a flood or something in that area, so like washed all the topsoil away. So now it's just that.
Oh, erosion? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that could absolutely have something to do with it.
Maybe in this particular area, because there's no trees, there's no like anything to add organic matter all the time, other than the grass is growing and there being leftover forage from the year before. There's not a lot of organic matter being deposited.
Yep. Absolutely.
Wouldn't like the lack of rain also contribute to it? Since it's not, I mean, it gets a decent amount, but not a lot. And so like the water can't, like the rainwater can't redeposit nutrients back into the soil.
What? So Steph, take that concept a little bit further, because I think we're getting to a really important point that has to do with organic matter.
Well, I was just like thinking because like maybe the water's not going down far enough into the root system if they have like some deep roots. But I don't really know what else, if anybody else wants to chime in and add on to my thing.
So let's think about growth cycles here. So we know our grasses are green in the winter and the spring in California, right? So, and they die off in the summer and the fall. So there's lots of reasons that happens. Our Mediterranean climate is a big one, and it's really conducive to annual grasses. But what about organic matter would contribute to those grasses dying when it gets hot?
Is it because it has like the moderate infiltration, so it's not really like it's holding the water and the nutrients?
Yes. So organic matter is directly correlated to water holding capacity, right? So if we have low organic matter in these soils, the ability for that rangeland to actually hold the moisture is severely depleted. So that probably contributes to our short growing seasons, right? All right, so what I was wanting to do with those questions, guys, is really start to bring together how characteristics of the soil really affect the characteristics of the plants. So again, it's all about the system. Cool. Any other questions for group 4? All righty. Thank you guys. You did a great job. Which group would like to go next?
Group 1.
Awesome. Go for it, Taylor. And you guys have the ability to share screen, so.
one of our group members volunteered to do the share screen, but I don't remember who it was.
Sorry, that's me. Okay, can everybody see the slide?
Yep.
Okay, so we're group 1, and I'm Eileen, and my 5 strengths are timekeeper, strategist, coach, empathizer, and peacekeeper.
My name is Taylor, and my strengths were restorative, discipline, harmony, responsibility, and consistency.
I'm Alexa, and mine were consistency, harmony, intellection, restorative, and adaptability.
My name is Brianna, and my strengths were unity, analysis, consistency, influence, and neutral.
Hi everyone, I'm Nitsi. My strengths are commander, optimist, peacekeeper, timekeeper, and Philomath. I believe that's how you say it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the picture that we got, and our area was right here, and then this is what the area looks like. So based off of these pictures, we came to the conclusion that it's a desert shrubland and grassland. More on the desert shrubland side. And this climate type is mild and arid / semi-arid, and precipitation is 10 inches to 12 inches per year. And then precipitation timing, it's bimodal, so it's 2 times per year. And the variation is between 200 and 1,000 millimeters of rain a year. And so based on where the area is, it encounters the rain shadow effect from southwestern mountains. And during the summers, it's hot and dry, and winters it is cool and moist. And then it has low humidity.
As for topography and vegetation, we determined that the slope was, well, we were a little bit confused, but we determined that it would be 2 to 15%, because we know that the change in altitude is over a given distance, so we were a little bit confused. The altitude is 3,907 feet. For the aspects south to the west have lower grass coverage and high shrub density, while grass coverage decreases as elevation increases from east to the north. And for vegetation, we determined that it was perennial grasses and shrubs, cactus, and bunch grasses.
And then for the soil characteristics, the overall texture was determined to be clay. The structure was a low leaching, massive. The mostly horizon, you had the topsoil, subsoil, and regolith. I think that's how you pronounce it. The depth was determined to be between medium to deep, about 80 to 90 centimeters. The pH overall was like a 7.0, anywhere ranging between 6.5 and 8.4. The organic matter was 5%, so it was pretty small. The mineral status would be dry most of the year and limited leaching, very fertile if more water was added.
For our inventory, while looking at the picture that was provided, we noticed that we had a lot large rock structures, a bunch of cactuses, a bunch of bunch grasses, perennial grasses, shrubs, as well as it being a little bit dry and not too much water resources, as well as for livestock. And we did have sloped hills and no fencing.
Great job, guys. Thank you. Just a couple of questions for you. So first of all, good problem solving on the slope thing. So you're absolutely right. That 2 to 15% is going to be pretty standard, just looking at that figure. So you're definitely walking uphill. And as a person that has been to the top of that hill, there is slope. You're also at about 4,000 feet in elevation at the bottom where that picture was taken. And so you climb up pretty high as well. So real quick question about precipitation. So you said that some of the challenges were rain shadow effect from the mountain ranges that are in there. And you're right, there are a few in there. The Oregon mountains are a big mountain range through the Sonoran Desert at that area, but this property actually sits on the west side of that. So it is going to benefit from the rain shadow. It's going to be on the windward side. Not that you guys would have known that, I'm just giving you some background. But when you think about the bigger context of this rangeland region, what is the biggest challenge relative to rangeland production overall? It's not a trick question.
In my notes, I had monsoon season. I think that's what I had.
Okay, go a little bit further with that, Taylor. You're on the right track. So what's the deal with monsoon season? When do we see it show up?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, anybody else want to jump in and help?
Is it year round?
Good guess, but it's not year round, which actually is part of the problem.
Is it during summer?
It is during summer. Yep. So in this neck of the woods, it'll start almost always on July 4th. There's always a rainstorm on July 4th in the Southwest in Las Cruces. So the big issue here is that monsoon season, you can get a lot of rain during that time, but it only lasts sometimes 60 to 90 days. So usually by October 1st, most of the time September 1st, the monsoon season is done. So this area gets all of its rainfall in a 60-day period, and that has to take vegetation and grazing for an entire year. So that is one of the bigger challenges, is that we get highly variable precipitation, and we don't get a lot of it in general because we're in the desert. All right, so why is it so important that those soils are clay, now that you know a little bit more about that monsoon behavior? And this is for everybody.
Is it to hold the water? Just since
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's the big reason that the Sonoran Desert and the Chihuahuan Desert in the desert Southwest is actually habitable by wildlife species, and we can graze livestock on it, is because it has enough clay in the soil and really good organic matter content. Because keep in mind, organic matter content is only going to be 5 to 6% of the total soil particles, right? And so organic matter is really high here for a lot of the region. And so it has really good water holding capacity because that soil is clay. And so that clay soil has to hang on to the water that it gets that one time during the year, so that those perennial bunch grasses can use it the rest of the year. So awesome. You guys are doing good. You're connecting concepts together, and all of this is going to go into management. So, all right. Any other questions about the desert Southwest for group number 1? All right, fantastic. Taylor, I did get your direct message. We're fine. So just feel free to take off when you need to.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, group 2 or 3, who would like to go next?
Group 3 can go.
Okay, fantastic. Nicole, you can go ahead and share your screen if that's you or whoever in your group.
Okay. I cannot share my screen. Wait, never mind.
There you
Okay.
go.
Okay. So this is our strengths. My name's Nicole, and my strengths were discipline, consistency, harmony, positivity, and includer.
Hi, I'm Val. Sorry. Well, my strengths were restorative, harmony, connectedness, relatory, and empathy. And I don't know, I feel like connectedness was the one I really used in the group today, only because we were like all feeding off of each other, even if one of us or the other didn't really know an answer or what to put.
Hi, I'm Tommy. My 5 strengths were responsibility, analytical, learner, strategic, and self-assurance.
I'm Luz, and my strengths are consistency, empathy, discipline, restorative, and context.
Hi, I'm John. My strengths were deliver, self-believer, focus expert, analyst, and winner.
And our region or place on the map that we did, it was in like Oregon, like Northern California or Northern Oregon. And then it was sagebrush that we focused on.
Okay, so in our region, we were looking at a temperate climate type with the region of, like my group member said, sagebrush steppe, which typically has precipitation, about like 10 to 30 inches per year. It's mainly seen during the spring, like that's our major like precipitation period, but we do see some in the winter as well. And the area is very highly variable because of the rain shadow effect, which my group partner Luz is going to go into.
Yeah, so I guess one of the challenges is the orographic effect, because it can cause variability, especially within rangelands of the West. And a lot of time, there's not actually a lot of precipitation, mainly during the area that we focus on was like there's mainly precipitation in the winter and the spring. And the temperature is like similar to oh my god, I had it written down. Similar to like the coast, but just to the Pacific. It is like hot during the summer, and like in the winter and the spring, that's when we see like the most precipitation since there's like snow and stuff. And then the humidity, it's mainly present during those spring months when there's precipitation present. And that's all.
For the topography and vegetation, we've had a slope of 0 to 20%, and then our altitude was 4,200 feet. And then for the aspect, there wasn't much of an aspect since there wasn't much of a slope. I mean, if you look into the distance, there was kind of a slope, but overall it was pretty flat. And then vegetation, there was just a bunch of, for the sagebrush, bunch of brush and shrubs. There was some trees, but it's mainly overall the brush and shrubs.
So in the sagebrush steppe area in Eastern Oregon, what I found for soil characteristics is that the texture is usually a cobbly loam. The structure of the soil is platy. It is not very deep at all, with only 10 to 30 inches until you reach some sort of hard pan. The pH ranges from 6.5 to 7.5. Organic matter is less than 1%, and it has pretty poor fertility for that soil.
Some things we saw in our picture were that there were juniper trees, a lot of shrubs, antelope bitterbrush, sagebrush. There was the mildly sloped hill in the back, and then a bare ground just showing soil.
Great. Okay, thank you guys. Any questions from the class, first of all? Okay. So this is, you guys definitely are in sagebrush steppe region. And so this is kind of central to Eastern Washington. So based on what you know about the soil now, why is this area conducive to shrubs? Why don't we see more grasses?
The organic matter was pretty low, so I know that plays like a role in fertility.
Okay.
Maybe well, I know that there is a good amount of precipitation, but like the humidity might have something to do with it, like the heat or something, climate wise.
Okay. So like lack of humidity, is that what you're talking about, Nicole?
Yeah.
Okay. What other thoughts are out there for, and it can be more than just the group.
I feel like also, since the soil structure, it says that it's pretty rocky. I feel like that has something to do with it being mostly sagebrush, since grassland doesn't really grow that well in super rocky.
Yep. So take that thought a little bit further, Tommy. You're on the right track. So with this, really kind of coarse soil that isn't super conducive to, holding a lot of moisture, even though organic matter is high, that's not really going to benefit those. It's definitely not going to be a benefit to annual grasses, right? Maybe to perennial grasses because they have a deeper root system. But how does that soil structure really benefit the shrubs? What is the difference between, shrubs and perennial grasses?
Does something have to do with the fact that shrubs, I don't know, like they grow in like groups, and then perennial grasses have to grow like they're all over?
Kind of right track, wrong train. So take that a little bit further. Think about the root structure of shrubs versus perennial grasses. How do you think they would be different?
I think shrubs would have larger roots, so with more air in the soil due to all of the rocks and everything, it gives it more room to grow bigger roots. Unlike grasses, they have pretty small root system.
Yep. So would you guys agree that shrubs probably have a stronger root system that could bust through that hard pin and that rock?
Yeah, they have more of like a hardy root kind of.
Yep. Also with shrubs, they tend to have more of kind of a taproot structure. So like a carrot, right? One big root going down. Whereas our perennial grasses and our annual grasses, they have a fibrous root system. So there's a lot of roots that go out away from the plant. It's not necessarily like a taproot. So why does that benefit our shrubs? Like, why are they going to be dominant here, knowing that they have tough roots and it's probably a taproot?
Wait, will you say that one more time?
Yep.
Please.
So how does this environment benefit our shrubs, knowing that our shrubs have a really tough root and it's probably a taproot? Why are they so numerous in population?
Because they can reach like a deeper water source.
Yes, exactly. Great job, guys. So the hard pan is really high in the sagebrush steppe, usually, or no matter where you go. But with these tough shrub root systems, they have the ability to penetrate that hard pan and use water at a different depth. Okay, so it can use like subsurface water instead of water that is held by the organic matter in the topsoil. So that's a big reason why the sagebrush steppe is such a big part of the Western ecosystem, is because we have a lot of those soils with a really high hard pan. Yeah, Cheyenne, go ahead.
So I remember from last semester's class that you talked about that's why it was bad that the junipers were taking over.
Yeah.
When we were in class on Monday and we were doing the poll everywhere, and you asked us to like select the pinyon juniper like landscaping out, and it was like the gray, but I didn't see any of it in Oregon. But is pinyon juniper different than juniper or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So pinyon juniper is a mix of pinyon pine trees and juniper trees. Okay. So in this ecosystem, it's mostly straight juniper.
Got it. Okay, that's where I was confused.
Yeah.
So thanks for
no problem. Great question. I love that you guys are thinking and pulling this stuff together. Okay, cool. Any other questions from the rest of the class to group 3? Okay, great. Good job, guys. Group number 2, are you guys ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. You have the ability to share your screen, so take it away.
Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, so my name is Alex, and my 5 skill strengths were responsibility, achiever, futuristic, focus, and deliberative.
My name is Caitlin, and my strengths are responsibility, discipline, achiever, harmony, and deliberative.
My name is Raylene, and my top 5 traits were learner, analytical, discipline, harmony, and input.
Hi, my name is Calvin. My 5 themes, strengths were restorative, intellect, competition, context, and connectedness.
Okay, so our section of rangeland that we were assigned is right here, that little like thumbtack looking thing down there on the top part of Oklahoma. This is what it looks like, and the aspects of this will be discussed later on.
So as for the climate, it appears to be plains type, although it's really close to being eastern, but I felt it was more closely plains. The rangeland region was more mixed prairie with a little bit of oak woodland, depending on how much you break it down. Precipitation per year is about 30.1 to 40 inches per year. The timing of that precipitation is typically late spring and summer, with 2/3 of the rainfall occurring during the growing season. The variation of it, I couldn't quite find it in my notes, so we tried to look stuff up. And there's a lot of rainfall variation between the eastern and western parts of the state. As for the challenges that this area faces, they have unpredictable periods of drought, so they typically aren't in drought, but they do get it every once in a while, and so it's kind of hard to tell when that will happen. the temperatures are hot during the summer and cold during the winter, and they have high humidity during the summer. So it's very hot and humid during that time, and low humidity during the winter. So even though they do get snowfall, it's very lightweight, crisp snow, nothing that's too moist during the winter.
Okay, for slope, it ranges from 15 feet per mile to about, oh, there you go. Okay, 15 feet per mile to about 4 feet per mile. I try to calculate it because I couldn't find the info. Just rise over run times 100, and it's about 2% to 15%. Altitude elevation is about 5,000 feet, and the lowest elevation is 287 feet. Aspect, it's a south-facing slope. And vegetation, plant species, type, we have tough perennial grasses and shrubs, mesquite, short and long grasses, and some oak woodlands. The website I used was the Oklahoma Geological Survey website.
For the soil characteristics, we found that the texture was silt loam. And for the structure, had moderate infiltration rate, which we said was blocky. And the depth is very deep. The pH ranges from 7.2 to 9.5. And the organic matter, they have high organic matter content and a high base supply of nutrients. And for the mineral status, we said it was fertile.
So here's an inventory. We saw a mixture of tall grasses and short grasses, dense pockets of trees. It looked like there was cattle grazing in the background. There's a lot of rolling hills, green grasses. And then we didn't see like any water source or creeks in the picture, but we're sure that there are because it's so green and there's animals in the background. Then we can go back to that right here. So you can see the tall and the short grasses and these dense pockets of trees, and these appear to be cattle out there, and the rolling hills. It's pretty green.
Yep, it's way green. So good job, guys. Thank you for that. So those actually aren't cattle, those are bison. So this is the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve in north of Pahuska, Oklahoma. So if you guys are fans of, what's the chick? Ray Drummond, Pioneer Woman. She lives just, their ranch is about 3 miles from this place. And so definitely tall grass prairie. You can see there's actually in the foreground, there's some yellow flowers there. There's some forbs there as well, but those are bison, so not cattle. But awesome. Any questions from the rest of the class? Okay, cool. So you guys said that we're probably in a mixed prairie area and leaning towards taller or tall grass prairie. So what soil characteristics really enable those taller grasses to grow?
Going back to that slide, it was a deep soil and a lot of organic matter. So the deeper soil is going to allow for those taller grasses and their deeper root system to grow, and then the organic matter is just gonna the soil is gonna just be more suitable for them, more plant life.
Yep. Yeah, and we also have lots of mineral content, right? So we've got fertile soils, deep soils that hold water. It's basically farm ground. So, and that's what a lot of this area has been converted to is farm ground. So yeah, so this is a really good area to grow grasses. So what challenges do you think that they run into from a management standpoint if they have all of those characteristics kind of in favor of growing grass?
From what we saw, talked about how there's severe drought at times, like in the Dust Bowl in the 30s, and also like development wise, there's like tornadoes and stuff down there.
Yep. So extreme weather events. Absolutely. What else do you think range managers run into, whether it's ranchers or managers of a wildlife management area, or even the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve with bison?
Overgrazing, maybe?
Yeah, they have to watch overgrazing. Yep. So think, sorry, I'll give you a little bit more direction. Think instead of animal based, think the plants. So if we have really great conditions for plants to grow, what would be a challenge for a manager?
You'd have to watch out for like invasive plant species.
Exactly. Invasive plant species. So Sericea espediza is a shrub that is horrid, and it's one of those, it's a weird thing. So Kansas has it listed as a noxious weed at their state level, but Oklahoma does not. So because this area is in northern Oklahoma, they run into major issues with it crossing the state line and stuff. And then the other major invasive plant here is eastern red cedar. So it's actually a shrub. So, but there's lots of things that like to grow when you've got favorable conditions, and invasive species are absolutely one of them. So, awesome. Okay, great job, guys. Any other questions from the class for group 2? Great. All right, so you guys can go ahead and stop sharing your screen. We've just got one last exercise to do, and I'm going to push you guys back to breakout rooms to get this done. But this really brings strength finders into this process. And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to paste in a series of slides, and you may need to add a slide here or there. Let me just show you what it looks like really quickly. And I want you guys to put this into the Google, just leave it in your Google document so I can go back and review it later. But basically, you're going to see a series of slides at the bottom of your slide set, and that is assessment. So you individually put your name up here, and then you make a list of your team members and give an explanation of what strength you saw them use with an example, okay, during this process. So again, we're creating a list for all of your team members, and you are going to identify what strength you saw them use and how they used it in this process. All right, is everybody okay with that? Everybody good? Sweet. Yes. Okay. I'm going to push you back to breakout rooms, and I'm going to copy and paste them into each set. So give me just a couple minutes to get them all in there. Okay. And you guys can probably do this really quickly. So let's do like 10 minutes. Okay. And during this time, share with your group. Okay. So don't just put it on a slide, but share with your group how you saw your group members use their strength. Okay. All right, so let's do 10. There we go. Okay, you should have an invite. Let me get these all pasted in. Hi guys, welcome back. We've got about 30 seconds before the breakout room shut down for good. All right, I think everybody is back in now. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's exercise and you did a good job kind of pulling concepts together. And we're going to take some of those prompting questions that I was asking each group a little bit deeper. So there's reasons why why vegetation is in areas where it's at, why soils are the way they are, and we have to be aware of that when it comes to managing rangeland. And so this is just a good introductory exercise to kind of get you thinking about, if you're presented with a piece of rangeland, step number one is to think about those physical characteristics, because that's going to allow you later on to think of things like stocking rate and carrying capacity and how we preserve water quality and different tools that can be used to improve rangeland or maintain rangeland, like fire and fencing and those type of things. And so just keep this exercise in mind as we continue to push through and look at different landscapes throughout the semester. The Strength Finders thing is something that I just want you guys to continue to be aware of. So I think we hopefully, if time allows, towards the end of the semester, we'll do another lab that's issues based, because I know a lot of you guys have some interest in issues that are on rangeland, whether it's endangered species or wild horses, invasive plant species, fire. There's lots of issues out there, and those managing either for or against those issues takes multiple people, multiple agencies, and all of the people involved have different personalities and different strengths. And so if you have a viewpoint or a point of management that you're very passionate about, knowing how to relate to somebody else with their strengths becomes your best bargaining tool for getting your way, I'll be honest. Okay. And so it also will help you work through kind of group project type stuff. And so this is a skill and a personality assessment that I hope you take with you as we not only move through the semester, but as you move through college and then into your careers as well. So, all right. So with that, we are done for today. I'm happy to hang out and talk to you guys about class stuff or university stuff, or just give you a space to kind of voice your opinions if you're frustrated or not frustrated, either way. Just keep in mind, you got the ecology components and functions quiz due on Friday by the end of day, but no extra assignments due this week out of lab. All right. If you guys go look at the grade book, I already put your points in for participating in today's lab. So, all right, that's all I got. Thank you guys. And we will see you Monday, if not before.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.